hit
This
the magic button.
conference will now be recorded.
All right. So hi, everybody. I'm Ann McMillan, the chair of the College Outreach COI, and welcome to our monthly call that we have for the COI. I believe Eddie sent out the agenda, and there's a copy on the screen in front of you. So I think we'll just start going through and get to the fun things. And oh, there, I can realize I can't move the screen because it's not my screen. Do you have any updates, Eddie, for COVID-19 as far as events and stuff like that?
Nothing new to report from what we were discussing. Yeah, just the schedule. We're continuing through June with all virtual events.
All right, great. All right, so for leadership updates, we had our last leadership team call last week, and we worked on a couple of the work plan goals that we've been moving forward with in regards to the virtual student chapter, working on possibly switching platforms from Slack to something else, and also moving forward with the student competition and planning for JETSI. So those are our main topics of conversation the other day, and we'll be going into those in a little bit more detail further on in the agenda. So we'll just keep going forward. So for number 4, our leadership team, just always putting the call out there that if anybody is looking to get more involved in the COI, please let me know. If you have a little time or a lot, we're always happy to have more volunteers for all the stuff that we're trying to do. So if you're interested, just send me an email or give me a call and we can chat about where you might fit in. And all of our contact information for the leadership team is on the COI webpage, just in case anyone is looking for it or needs it for any reason. All right, so our virtual student chapter. So the last webinar was on January 18th, and the next one is tomorrow. And that's, next two. So 18 February and 16 March. And those are the series of webinars related to, is it QIT or Kiwit? I keep not sure how to pronounce it. I've heard both going forward the other day.
Same. I've been saying QIT without the U. Yeah, QIT.
It's Kiwit.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
That's from Omaha.
So if you are interested in checking those out or passing those along, the information along to your student members, I believe it is on the website. And the first one I think was really good, and hopefully the next two will just continue on that trend.
Yeah, I'm going to send I was waiting for this call, but I'm going to send a reminder out to all the student members today.
Excellent.
And then a separate reminder to just the undergrad members about the competition, so that both of those will go out. Also, we are still recruiting for a new partner. If anybody knows of a firm that does any of this kind of outreach, we'd love to tee up someone to follow QIT starting in April.
Great. And I guess I should give this over to Andra for the rest of the virtual student chapter. I didn't mean to take over your agenda.
That's okay. Yeah, actually, I was just, Eddie, wondering, with the Nick Desport had sent out that note about the George Mason chapter doing that event that they've got coming up. And he mentioned that you guys would be recording it. Would that be something that we could just re-show as a possible future webinar?
The session that they're doing at the Northern Virginia chapter?
Yes. Since it's it's in line with what I think a lot of the students from the survey results are asking for.
Yeah, certainly. And I'm doing the intro for it. I'm their kind of lead-in speaker. So yeah, let's see how the meeting ends up going. I think the hard part is, not being there. We'll pick the pieces we want to show versus just broadcasting the entire meeting. But yeah, I mean, I think that those kinds of things can always be repurposed, with some of our own context.
Sure. Yeah, I just thought it might be a good one to have. I know it's like scheduled for 2 hours, and we of course wouldn't want to do the whole 2 hours. So yeah, if we could tailor the recorded
Hi guys.
session to just be what's pertinent to the virtual student chapter, that would be great.
Hello. I just signed in.
Who's this?
This is Al Rajput. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. My computer doesn't want to get up, so finally I had to use the phone.
Oh, that's okay. We're
Yeah.
going.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. I will be on phone. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so so that would be a possible future webinar I think we could do, and then we'll have Tony Davitt speak in April as well. So I think we'll probably be set for the next 4 months or so if we can use that recorded one from George Mason chapter. But we're always looking for webinar topics and ideas and some thought as we go into the summer, whether we want to continue to have a monthly or not. But we do need to look, I think, for next fall at doing some sort of a career fair or internships, this discussion. And you'll see that as we go through the student survey slides. So I think that's next on the agenda if we just want to start looking at those.
Sure.
I think that sounds good.
Pull it up here.
Okay, can I give you some input also from my side? Who am I and what I did in the past quickly or not?
That's fine if you'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, I have about 30, 40 years of experience of judging the projects, and that is my county, my state, and international World Science Fairs. And I'm retired teacher. Teacher means school, college, universities, up to that level. And I trained a lot of people how to set the projects. Also, I was the judge for the SME Society for Manufacturing Engineering, and that's the national projects judging. And what else I can add about? And I have linked with most of the students of the country through the called Society for Science, and my own universities where I taught and all those, if that could be helpful. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
This is Ann. Great, thank you. We're going to be talking about the competition, I think, a little bit further in the agenda, so I think that will definitely be some useful information for our Vice Chair of Competitions, Patrick.
Okay,
Yeah, and sir, also, if you haven't joined the K-12 STEM Outreach, COI, it's in some of your experiences at the high school and lower levels. That might be a good group for you to join as well, because they do outreach more, pre-college.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. Good, I will do that.
Yeah, but welcome, and feel free to chime in on any of the agenda items that you want to comment on.
All right. Is this Eddie or somebody else?
Yes.
Because I didn't get the names of the people yet.
Yes, this is Eddie Gonzalez with SAME National.
Okay, Eddie. Okay, Eddie, thank you very much.
Certainly. Okay, Andrew, yes, I have the first slide up.
Okay.
So just so we know.
So, yeah, I'll let you know you can put, I guess, the demographic slide up next. Yeah, so I'm sure everybody's familiar with the fact that we ran a student member survey here recently. We were able to get 51 respondents to the survey, and you can see some of the various demographics. So 64% male, 36% female, mostly undergraduate students at the college level, and about 25% said that they had received a Sami scholarship, and that's why they were interested and still involved with Sami. Most of the other, actually, there was a lot that had parents or teachers, mentors that had turned them on to Sami. was another significant part of the group. Some campers as well, and then just a handful of students that had just actually done research and found Sami through that efforts there, and their interest in particularly military engineering. So very interesting. The universities, colleges from everywhere, and also a variety of majors, but most of them were engineering majors of some sort. So, and then there was maybe a handful, 20% around were science type majors. You can do the communication slide. I'm sorry, go ahead.
These university colleges projects are handled by a certain group, or because I did that for SME, Society of Manufacturing Engineering, at annual awards that we used to pick throughout the nation from many universities, colleges had joined, and we did that. So that was done through the SME. Is there our group? We are doing it directly, or we have to go through certain other group for doing that?
Yeah, what do you mean?
We did a survey, so we're talking about the results of the survey that we did with our student members. Yes, we're going to move on to the competition in a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
And then we can go through some of that. Oh, no worries. Just wanted to clarify.
No problem. I mean, just for your background, so I'm Andra Clapsaddle, and I'm the chairman of the virtual student chapter. And what we were looking for here was to see, we're trying to just get some information from our current student members, and they can be, as it turned out, some are actually on a Sami student chapter at a university. Some are not. Some are in the virtual student chapter. So it's really a range. So, and this is just the survey results we're going through.
I would like that kind of things.
Well, sir, if you would like, just to orient you more to what we're doing, you email me afterwards, and we can set up a one-on-one call so I can walk you through all the different things that, since I'm the liaison to both this one and the STEM outreach, I can walk you through the activities that each one is doing.
I'm one of the founding member of the STEM back in early 90s. Okay.
Awesome.
And Eddie, I'm sure we can find a spot for him on one of the COIs. We're always looking for volunteers. I know Ann said so.
I don't know.
Yes, that's why
you can be on many.
His interest, for sure. Yes, so you can see how there's plenty to contribute.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
But before we go on to the next slide, Andrew, on this one, so first, 51 respondents, just so you know, is the largest response we've had for since the 2 years I've been here, any student-related thing that we've put out there. So I thought that was
wonderful.
The split between high school, undergraduate, and graduate is interesting because our student member category does not extend to graduate level. We do consider that a professional category, but we don't really have the infrastructure to know who those 4% are. I mean, I can go through the survey and find them, but that's something that just as an aside, I'll have to work out. But with the 25% high school and 71% undergraduate, we have been talking about one of our longer term objectives would be to have focused outreach for high school separate from post high school. And really that undergraduate should encompass 2-year degrees, trade schools, anybody that's out of high school really, but a student in some form. So we would need to differentiate that even as well. So a lot of this is really our first attempt at quantifying some of this, but hopefully it'll lead to more questions that we as a COI are going to want to answer about our student membership. The other piece that I wanted to highlight is on the K-12 STEM outreach COI, we have also been discussing their responsibilities in managing our student membership. So at some point I see us having kind of a student member focused working group that includes K-12 STEM outreach COI members, to really manage the lifespan of a student member between our two COIs.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, and would make sense.
All right. I'm on
Okay,
to
so the on the communication page here, communication slide. So this was actually a surprise to me because we've just as we've all talked many times about the difficulty in communication and what's the best tool, and it is email, which we all thought that everybody gets too much email and that's probably not the most effective tool. But here it's pretty clear to see that that email is even above text. So I don't think we ever talked about not continuing to use email, so that will be something. And then Discord just has a small percentage there, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I still think that that's going to be an effective tool for us as well for the networking piece of it. It's maybe more so than just the pure sending out of information piece. And majority of the respondents are interested in the webinars being held between 4 and 8 p.m. I'm assuming they're all over the place. So, I would guess we'd have to just pick Eastern time zone or whatever for that. But if we can do them a little bit later in the day, it's more effective timing for the students.
Well, and one thing we haven't tested out, Andra, which you had referenced earlier about the Northern Virginia Post one, is rebroadcasting the webinars as well, the ones that we've coordinated, so that we would have like an initial showing at, say, 5 p.m. Eastern time, and then rebroadcasting it at 8 p.m. Eastern time but with one of us being on hand to facilitate Q&A, or we'd have to figure it out, but there's always an option for us to rebroadcast or even ask a presenter to present it twice, depending on the presenter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we talk about with the international COI as well, because there's definitely difficulties finding the right time of the day to have one of their webinars that reaches across the globe. So yes, I think if you can record it and we can just replay it with one moderator to answer questions, maybe, as opposed to maybe having to ask somebody to speak twice, would be, especially if it's something like the ones that we have ongoing now that are more educational.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're available to be watched, but you have to actively go out and seek them and pull them down, as opposed to just having a second showing of it.
Agreed.
I think we should first try our national and see if we become really good in doing those things. Then we can add the international.
Yeah, no, the international is a separate community of interest that I just mentioned, that I'm also on, and that has similar issues, but their topics are nothing related to what is usually not related to what a student would be interested in.
Okay.
It's more business development and things like that. So totally different. Just the only thing is just the difficulty of finding it a good time to actually host the webinars.
Have we done any online judging yet? Last year, this year, that's the only 2 years that we are going through that.
We partner with a number. We only run one competition, and it's the one that we are going to talk about in a second. But we partner with a number of other organizations that do judging. So our main role has been to provide judges to other organizations.
Yeah.
But SAE does not run its own judged competition.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Except for the one that we just started.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you go to the webinar topics page, this just gives a real quick list. I tried to summarize as much as possible what the topics were really all over the place. There was a pretty wide range, but absolutely, the students are looking for more information on internships and career fairs in particular. Some on the scholarship piece, that was a little bit less, but so I think if we can have a couple webinars that focus on that sort of thing, and we have to, again, watch the timing of them so the timing works to help the students, we should look to do some of those. And then they're also interested in learning about different career paths that you can take. So, so we can maybe we'll have to think a little bit more about how we would want to organize those kind of webinars, but we can either pick a career field and maybe a couple of speakers from different companies to talk about how they approach, or, you know, look to just, you know, as a mechanical engineer, there's so many ways you can, so many different things you can do, you know, highlighting those kind of things. Something like that would be another good webinar topic. Yeah, and then the skills needed, which is what our current webinars, I think, talk to, and then more information on transition from college to work. So that, I think, is that last bullet there I've got on the networking piece. There's definitely interest there in that networking, and I think you can, if you can get a good networking tool set up, then a lot of those, the transition from college to work type questions could get answered there in that networking tool. So any questions or input on that?
Well, it's not part of the agenda, but Tiffany, I thought we'd just give a quick update on what we're doing with JATC and bringing in student members, because I think some of this, it's not a webinar, but we are planning an orientation at JATC for student members that at least gets to how to use an event like JATC to advance some of these, you know, the careers, the skills, you know, going to some of these sessions, hearing the speakers. I think that adds to this kind of request for this kind of information, is the more we can bring them in to the activities that we do at the national level as members, the more they know then how to, you know, find out about these topics just through our normal events.
And specifically, if you don't know, like if you're new to this, our national conferences, or all of our conferences, the students are free to attend, and we are planning a few specific events. Like Eddie said, we're going to have an orientation the Friday before the week of JETC, and then we're also going to have a specific event for students and young members, and we're working on the logistics of it. But I think we're asking for volunteers from the young members that can be, let's say, mentors or guides to the JETC. So especially since it's virtual, it's a lot harder to kind of like know where to go or what to do or how, like, what might interest you. So what we had talked about was coming up with like short bios of the different mentors or guides for the JETC, where it's like, let's say me, I'm an architect, I'm female, I'm 20. No, I'm sorry. I wish I was 20. No, I'm 36. I've been with SIME for 10 years, or over 10 years. And, you know, like, these are the topics that interest me, you know, or this is what I'm interested in, or, you know, so I can sort of point people, like if there's somebody who's interested in architecture, they would be more drawn to reach out to me, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make them reach out to you. And then plus, you know, maybe we could go through and kind of like assign them off to people too, so that we can give them a little bit more guidance on how to figure out what classes are interesting to them and which ones they should attend, because it can be overwhelming. So we're trying to break it down in scale so that it's not overwhelming, and that they at least have somebody, at least one person, if not 3 or 4, that they can reach out to in order to help them navigate the JETC.
Eddie, I have a question. Eddie?
Yes, sir.
Do we have access of all the posts that are doing their COI link with the schools of their counties or whatever chapters they're involved? Do we have that yet? Or because they have just the science fair type of involvement, and they give the awards to the science fair winners, which is a county base or a state base, but not international base yet.
So I'm not sure I understand the question. So through the K-12 STEM outreach COI, we do a lot of the participants in that community of interest are the post level STEM points of contact. So we try to engage them through those calls, but there's no formal database of posts that are involved in science fairs or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I noticed from my own chapter, our own post. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would definitely be something to bring up during the K-12 STEM outreach call, and potentially volunteer to help pull that kind of data together.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
And this is Anne. Just one more thing to add to Tiffany's summary. I think during our last leadership call, we'd also talked about putting together a flyer about how to use the exhibit hall as a networking tool. So I think that's something that would tie into the virtual student chapter as well. So how to use that exhibit hall and talk to companies, and how to do that in a virtual manner. So I know it's completely different than walking through an actual exhibit hall where you can see people and talk to them and do those sorts of things. So that was something else that we were also working on. I believe Tiffany and Christina.
Good.
Yeah, we did go as far as I asked the events team, one of the things we were wondering about is having a career fair embedded in one of our national conferences versus just having a standalone career fair. What I'm hoping is JETC is where we start not just bringing student members in, but highlighting our student membership to companies so that they're aware that we're trying to, customer service, provide, good customer service to them, leading up to an eventual career fair that we might plan, which then we could utilize the entire conference system of the way the exhibit hall is, but really just focused on a career fair, maybe in the fall as something, as part of our next year's work plan.
Thanks, Eddie.
May I? Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Go ahead.
most of the posts should take a little bit time and appoint some person, coordinator with the area schools, and we should try to start attending the science fairs or other activities related to STEM, that how they operate and what they're doing, and then from there we'll link with those who have the access to the students of that area. And if each post does that, then we can catch most of the national level.
Yeah, I just speaking from my experience here in San Antonio, I think that's already something our post does, and I would imagine all the posts do that. And I'm not an active member on the K through 12 STEM COI, Eddie, but I would assume that that's something that community brings together.
Yeah, I think the community engagement side, that is activities that are done at the K-12 level. So and that's all housed within the K-12 STEM COI. But on our side, just to remind everybody, when we go back to in-person conferences, Ann and I had been working a plan with the facility management workshop in San Antonio. We had gathered all the different representatives from different universities across Texas, and the plan was going to be to bring in students to that conference with faculty. We would have a coordinated experience for them, and then COVID hit, so we weren't able to implement it. But that is the plan when we go back to in-person events, is that we would work with local posts, utilizing the local university connections to actually recruit a local group of students that wouldn't have any issues traveling. The challenge with our national events is getting posts to then sponsor student travel to conferences that are not nearby. But yeah, but that would be a plan at the university level.
Okay, you and I need to talk those things later. That's a good,
No problem, sir.
Thank
you.
Okay, so back on the survey. So if we look at slide 5, just real quick, where can Sami assist after graduation? These are the areas that they picked. So again, it's a big one on the internship placements and networking with employers. So I think we've discussed that and where we can help out with that. So, and then finally, the last slide talks to some miscellaneous questions that we asked. Again, that virtual mentor, 57% are interested in being matched. So if there's a way, and I think what you guys are doing for Jitsi is a great start to that, but maybe we can then continue that and provide that mentorship network, through the whole year, not just at the conferences. Might be something we can look into. And I was actually surprised that only 60% were aware about the scholarships, and only 40% that their student registration to events is free. So that's continued publicization. I can't talk. I think will go a long way towards maybe getting some, especially in the virtual environment where the travel's not an issue. We could see hopefully a lot of students at Jitsi this year. And definitely that 84% are interested in networking with their peers. So hopefully, that with our Discord, that could help there. And I'll just pass it off. And maybe now's a good time to talk about Discord, unless we've got any questions on the survey.
That's too many. Sorry.
Well, I did want to highlight that we really hadn't been communicating to our student members consistently up until maybe the last 6 months with the current COI. So, even the fact that 60% are aware of scholarships, those are all post specific. We don't run any scholarships out of the national office. So a lot of these things have been left to chance. And with the newsletter that we're now putting out, I think the next newsletter should have some of these results embedded in it as results. I think we're still turning the corner on this type of communication, but it does mean we need to be purposeful about having a plan for communicating these things to, and not just assume they're going to hear about it.
Yep.
Thanks, Sandra. And thank you for putting all the results together.
Are we?
That was very helpful.
No problem.
Would you mind putting the agenda back up, Eddie?
Okay.
All right, excellent. So we talked about our survey. Did anyone else have any questions about the survey results? I think they're sent out with the slides as well.
I did want to say congratulations on getting 51 people to actually respond.
I know.
Okay.
That's great.
Did the survey has a question or volunteered by the students about their grades, what grade level they are, who returned the survey?
It was separated by graduate, undergraduate, and high school. So that was
there was another question that was a little bit more difficult to summarize, where we asked them when they graduate, and that was all over the place. So I think there was no predominant year group of the especially.
But we have a qualifying age or qualifying grade for the high school people. There would be seniors only, or could be juniors in 9th grade, or only 11th, 12th grade.
No,
it's any student up until undergraduate is a student member. So
very sad part that I should share with you. Very sad part that schools do not provide any project support because they don't have science teachers. Sometimes science teacher positions are filled by math or history, geography, and all those things. So that's a decline in our education system. I had been part of a lot of education as a board of governors of universities, colleges, and all those. So I brought that question. I said, you guys going to link with these schools, though you are in universities and college, but you don't know your pipeline. And if I may say, or take one more minute, Vision 2020 in Orange County, California, back in the 80s when I was with the aerospace people, and we gave the idea of what the subjects need to be taught, which was part of the STEM when I was designing that we need a basic STEM type of thing to be taught at the schools, and thanks God it started after 20 years and it's running for the last 20 or 15 years. That's good news. But there is a communication problem if we have that one of the items that how to communicate with all the county superintendents, at least to start from top and then go down to their county superintendents. Yeah. Anyhow, okay.
There is a plan. Well, one of our longer term strategies would be to get our student chapters involved in local K-12 STEM outreach.
Good.
So there is
okay.
another connection there. But again, a lot of this is just based on if we haven't been working in that area, we need to find a way to get into that area. And for some of our chapters, they just need to know how to make those kinds of connections.
And volunteers to head those programs.
Yeah,
I would be happy to help you in that area if you can. Yeah.
Well, sir, are you in Orange County?
Yes, I am in Orange County, California.
Okay. When you email me, I'll introduce you to Vivian Gu. Do you know Vivian Gu?
I have never personally met and chatted, but the names are heard because of the being part of the post. Yeah.
Okay, she's very active, and she's the K-12 STEM outreach POC that joins us on our calls on the other community of interest call. So I'll introduce you when you email me, and you can catch up on what they're doing locally.
Okay, I didn't attend the post meeting for the last maybe year and a half now, so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, they're doing a lot, so yeah, I definitely need to connect you all. So it seems like you have good ideas.
Well, sounds good, Eddie. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So we talked about our student survey results. Our competition. So Patrick and Eddie, would you like to provide an update on where we are with the competition?
Yeah, Patrick, I could give an update since we haven't chatted. Right now, we only have one entry. So that's part of the update that I'm sending out later today is just to try to make sure we get some more entrants. I'm hoping like everybody else. I do know there's a number of schools that are working on projects. So our deadline is what did we put, the
26th of February?
26th, yeah, so next Friday. Obviously, we'll take them through the weekend. It's not like I'm not going to be taking emails, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'll send a note out to the couple of the COIs, the K-12 COI as well, just to make sure any connections they have can get worked through, encouraging teams to submit. But if if you need details about the competition and want to help us promote it, just go to the competitions webpage that you can get to from the College Outreach COI page.
I know we've been putting it in our email blast every week or so.
Yep.
So it's been.
I'm sorry, Eddie. I know that my student group is looking at it and is planning on submitting. I just feel like, I mean, it's like registration deadlines, like they just wait till the last day and they're like, we don't have to turn it in until the last day, kind of thing. So I feel like we are going to get a lot more. They're just trying to figure out the logistics of who's doing what. And I think they're looking at whether or not they're going to put in one team or two, although I haven't looked at what the parameters are of it. Sorry, I haven't got to that yet, but I do know that my student group wants to put in at least one. So
okay, well, I just put the URL to the competitions page on the chat if you want to pull it, and I brought up the page real quick so you can all the information is there for you to help promote it, instructions, the submission form. So any questions come up, feel free to forward them to me.
Right, and if you want to help out with the judging for it as well, you can let me know. I'll put my my email in the chat so you have that too.
I think he's on the phone, so we might have to send that through an email later.
Oh, sure.
Now, I have a requirement or a request for if any of you or some friends want to be a judge for the International Science Fair. That will be 11th, 12th grade of the international. That would be virtual judging. So I will send.
That actually sounds like something you should send to Eddie, and Eddie could probably put out on the e-blast to see if we can get
Okay,
it
yeah.
from
Yeah,
No,
you know,
because
more participants.
because Austin County may be a part of that also, because a lot of people, judges are from Texas area, Texas, Phoenix, East Coast, Boston, all those things. That's what I thought. Maybe they are well aware of it and how we can mix with them and then use their ideas, their resources also for future plan. That was there. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Did you guys have any other updates for the competition?
I'm good.
I think next month we'll have a better idea of how many entries we'll have, and then we can plan. We're going to plan our judging accordingly. I think
Right.
that's the game plan, correct?
Super easy.
Excellent. All right. So I think next on our agenda was scholarships, and I think we're on hold with that scholarship advisory group until the guidance is updated.
Yes, and I do have it back. I've pulled it from the bottom of my stack to try to get regrouped. We just finished a big mentoring advisory group deliverable that we'll be presenting on Thursday at the Leader Development Community of Interest call. So that I needed to get that off my plate first. So I'm moving to scholarships next. I did put the link to the scholarships page on the chat because that is one of the things that we were able to do, is create a separate page for scholarships. I think the hard part for us at the national level is that, like I mentioned earlier, we don't run any scholarships directly. So our role really is to support the posts in their ability to run scholarships. And one of the things that we're trying to offer is a scholarship portal so that we can capture all the applicants as student members in our database and grow our student membership. Right now, the Alaska Anchorage Post and the San Diego Post are the only ones using the portal. But I've had inquiries from San Antonio, Dallas, and I'll have to look one other one. They're already in their cycles now, but they're thinking about this for next year's cycle. So, but as soon as I get that guidance together, I'll get the advisory group back together.
Okay.
There we go. Did we have any updates from any of the liaisons for other COIs, or updates that are from other COIs that folks might think are relevant?
I can report on the camp COI because we are going to be recruiting mentors. So, you know, and all the folks that are in this interest of college outreach would be ideal camp mentors. But we are moving ahead with our summer camps. Right now, Navy is the only camp that has already made the decision to go virtual. So we're working with the Naval Academy to design a virtual camp right now for the Navy camp participants. But the other 4 camps, Army, Air Force Academy, and Marine Corps, are all moving ahead with recruiting of campers. So that application is open, as is the application for being a mentor at these camps. So if you have any interest in spending part of your summer at a camp, go to the camp's COI page. Or the camp.
You should send that to Christina as well, so she can put that in the newsletter. So folks might be interested in that.
I will put the URL in the website with a reference there.
Excellent. Any other updates or other COI news?
On Thursday, we're going to be presenting, the Leader Development COI is going to be presenting a mentor guide, and it's a brief that the Mentor Advisory Group, which is part of the Leader Development COI, created. We are defining mentoring as a leader development skill, both for the mentor and the mentee, so that's why it's housed within the Leader Development COI. But the guide is going to talk about the mentoring that we do at our camps, and also the mentoring that posts can do with their scholarship recipients, for an example. Our next deliverable out of the advisory group is going to be to develop a toolkit for posts to develop a one-on-one mentoring program. And that could be student focused, it could be young professional focused, but especially for the posts that have student chapters, we hope that a lot of them would be interested in adding an element of mentoring to the students that are involved in their student chapter as a target. So more to come there. Join us on Thursday if you are interested.
Okay, one point that I can mention about the mentoring. What I did, I don't want to mention how long ago again, that I was able to connect with the local industries of these states and those, and asked for one person who can donate a one day and go to the schools or the universities and give a lecture about the not a lecture, and talk about what is good about those subjects that they are working on from in that industry. And the response was very big, and we had a very big donation from NSF in millions, and that program is still going on in my county, and I was part of that, writing those things at that time. So maybe we would try to connect that way and see if I can help again. Okay.
Yeah, I can look into that. If you send that information to Eddie, we can get that to the right place.
Okay.
And one thing that's just not on the agenda, but I think we did want to discuss while we have a few more minutes left. We had mentioned earlier that we were looking to replace the current Slack platform with another program. So an update from our leadership team is we'll call it beta testing, using Discord as a platform to communicate with our student members, and as a tool for the student members to communicate with each other. So that peer networking that we were discussing earlier from the survey. So we're attempting to see how that will go so far. We had Charlie Lee, who was helping to get us all familiar with the platform and the tools that it has available. So we'll provide some more information on that as we go. But I know we were just starting to get the basics together as far as seeing what the platform has to offer and if it might work a little better than Slack for our student members as a communication tool.
I'm wondering whether Jetsy would be a good test for us as well with the students. If we had a thread related to Jetsy, that would give us an opportunity to send an invite out. We'd have until April to get ourselves organized. And Chris will have to help us continue to orient us, but to have a running Discord channel for JTC for the students to be commenting, as they go to sessions and connecting the young professional mentors might be a good experiment.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable timeline that we can work with. They'll probably be a lot faster to get on board with it than some of us were to get online with it. But I think that's definitely something we can work on, and also see how that fits in with our plans with the young members as well. See if they have any suggestions with that, or how we can fit that into the plans we already have. Excellent. And then the last thing that we always like to leave a couple minutes for is just requests for future COI topics, and if there's anything as COI members that you need help with. So if there's any questions, concerns, ideas for future meetings, now's the chance to have the floor. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time today, and we will talk again next month. And in the meantime, if you have anything, questions, concerns, comments, feel free to send them my way. Happy to chat about them.
Would we be sending the contact list email for each of us that we are talking, or the Eddie's group that we can communicate to each other later?
Sure. If
Okay.
you reply to the calendar invite, that has Addie's contact information on it, and he can forward your questions and information to the rest of the team if you can't see it in the invite. But our contact information is also on the COI webpage for
I will look at it.
on SAME.
Okay, I will look at it. Thank you.
No problem. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
I hope
Thank you
everybody
very
has
much.
power soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Eddie, you gonna call later or just after this meeting? I don't know.
No, sir. I was asking for you to send me an email so that
I
we
see. Okay.
arrange a time.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do that. All right.
Thank
Thank you very much, Eddie. You have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.